name is ZeBirdBrain and today we're talking about drawings. So the tool I'm going to show you today is called the perspective tool. It is located within the white arrow's cousins. So right there, perspective. It is a tool that's very useful if you want to kind of warp images around to have them fit a certain perspective. So here I have the two images, and on the next frame I warped them using the perspective tool, and they look different because there's two different modes. So here we have the perspective mode and the lattice mode. So that's what I'm going to show you today. It is very useful, but you have to be aware of which you're going to use when. Like, both options are great, but for different things. So let's get started. So if you want to do something similar as me, just make a rectangle and draw like a grid in it or whatever. It's really going to help you. You're not going to see a difference if the shape is just one color. So if I go here and I paint all these of the same color, there's literally not much difference going on. You're really going to see a difference depending on what the motif, like on what the drawing is on the shape. So I just made a little easy shape like this. Then I copy pasted the shapes so that there's two rectangles. They're on the same drawing. You don't need to make multiple drawing layers to test that out. Just keep it on the same layer and you'll be fine. And then we're going to use the perspective tool on it. So the perspective tool is located within the contour editor's family. It is right there. So if you want to use it, you have to, click on it, and then you make your selection and you can start using it. So you make your selection around your shape. You don't have to be mega precise. It will select just like the select tool does. So if I take my select tool and I make a selection, even if I don't select the whole shape, it's still going to understand that like this rectangle is one big shape. It's not like the cutter tool, because the cutter tool will just like select one part. But the perspective tool, just like the select tool, if I just make this line, it'll select all my shape all together. So that is good to know. And then to edit it, you can use the different points here or in the corner to change the shape of your drawing. So once you have selected the perspective tool, you can go to the tool properties and you have a few options. As usual, I recommend checking the documentations for it because otherwise you will get lost. But fortunately, there is not that many icons. So here is to flip horizontal and vertical. I don't know why it's there, but it is. But there you have the perspective option or the lattice option. And this is where I want to get your attention today. The one on the left, I'm going to use perspective, and the one on the right, I'm going to use lattice. So they both look different, and the best way to understand it is to try it yourself. So I'm going to use my perspective mode on the left image. And if I take the corner here and I put them a bit more together, we're gonna have this. And if I go on the other one and instead I choose lattice, I'm gonna select it and do the same operation. And we're gonna see that now this image was just kind of warped, as if you took like the warp tool and you just warped the corner. It's like a more rigid warp tool, if I may put it like that. And here the perspective one really pulled the shape in perspective. And it is literally like they show on the icon. So if you don't remember which is which, you can always check that out. So when would you want to use that? If you have a background or drawing and you want to add a poster on the wall or like a rug on the floor or anything like that and you're in a hurry, this will be very useful for you. I also like to use it by sketching like a grid. So if I go here and I make myself a grid really fast. Let's say that this is my grid. You can take it with the perspective tool, set it to perspective, and when you pull it down like this, you can make yourself a little grid on the floor. That's going to be very helpful to make your animation because using a grid helps everything feels more grounded. And yeah, it's a pretty easy tool. And as you can see, I traced that with the pencil tool. So it's not going to make your pencil line any smaller or bigger. It'll always respect what is on here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you again next week for another tutorial. Goodbye!